was an incident in Chandigarh that had taken place on the night of the 4th of August. An incident which made headlines the next day of a young woman being stalked, being harassed on the roads of Chandigarh by a man who was politically connected. He came to be the son of the BJP President State Unit of Haryana, Vikas Barala. But in all of this, there was one person who was most important, and she in question was the complainant. We're not calling her the victim here. She doesn't want to be called the victim. She's someone who's come up now as the face that has risen up against influence, against political power, and most importantly, as a face that possibly can be associated with women trying to fight for their rights. Varnika Kundu is with us, and you've decided to tell your story, Varnika, and what's the reason that you want to come up on camera and say it for what it is?
See, initially, when this whole thing started, I didn't know who the guy was. All I wanted to do was bring someone who terrorized me, who made me feel fear like I have never felt before, to justice. So all I wanted to do was to see him serve, get punished for what he had done and make an example out of him to other guys. It was only much later that I found out that he was connected. And even now, I mean, my stance isn't against influence or anything of the sort. My stance is only that people and men, especially in India, men like these, need to understand that they cannot just scare women into doing whatever they want, and they can't count on just women being scared and them getting to have their way. And that is, I think, what I'm fighting against.
That's what you're fighting against. So what we're going to do is, it's about 1 a.m. at night right now. We're going to go with Varnika. We're going to trace that journey where Varnika at about 12:30 at night was stalked. She was harassed. She was literally terrorized. We're going to just do that. Come, let's go. Varnika, why is that you made a decision very clearly that you want to come out and talk about this?
Because I used to believe that, if I'm out in Chandigarh at night, I'm safe. And that night changed all of that for me. It was, I mean, I don't think I still have even had time to fully process it. Like, I still get panicky every time it sort of comes back up. And so I used to think Chandigarh was safe, but yeah, I mean, after that, sorry, I'm so tired, I keep zoning out. Can you repeat your question?
No, just why is it that you've decided that you want to speak out?
Honestly, I lodged the complaint because these guys had terrorized me. It wasn't just simple harassment. It wasn't pang karna, like thoda sa.
Or what eve teasing that mostly you and I and other women are okay with, which we shouldn't be, but we're okay with that.
We barely even noticed it anymore. Yeah. It wasn't eve teasing. This was terrorism. I was terrorized. I was literally terrorized. I think I had my first ever panic attack. I had a spasm in my back from everything that I was feeling. I was almost paralyzed. If it hadn't been a matter of life or death, I might not actually have been able to physically function. The only reason I could function was because my only focus was on driving and not stopping till I get to a safe place.
There's a reason why today we're here. We're in Chandigarh. It's 12:30 at night, and the reason we're doing this is because this is how it all happened. This is how it all happened, where Varnika Kundu had just finished work. She freelances as a DJ. She had just finished work and she was driving back. And Varnika, this is the exact spot at about 12:30 at night you noticed somebody following you?
Yeah, just a little ahead of here is when I noticed a car coming from behind me quite fast. So I didn't think anyone was following me. I just thought it's a fast car. So I moved a little bit to the left and slowed down to let them cross.
This is your main way to come from Chandigarh to your house? From the city of Chandigarh towards your house, which is in Panchkula?
So, well, I usually would have taken the other route, which is IT Park, which is why I was going towards that side. Because even though it's more isolated, again, I had never felt unsafe. So I thought it was okay. It's just a better drive. It's a nicer drive. There's, no traffic lights and all. So I would have taken that route, which is why I was here. But then, of course, they came along and I changed my mind immediately because I knew I had to get to a place where there
You saw them here, and this journey from your workplace, which was on Friday, to home was how long? Or is supposed to be how long? Of course, it
actually work.
Okay. So this journey from where you had just left that night to your home would have taken how long? Because of course it turned out to be a nightmarish experience, but would have been about what, 10, 15 minutes?
What actually happened? It was anything between like 15 to 25 minutes. Because normally it would take me about 12-15 minutes to get from here to my house on the straight road. But because they kept trying to hit my car, I think it might have taken longer. I'm not, of course, entirely sure because
it was something like a journey for about 10-15 minutes just to call that. Of course, that's a different thing, but it's a 10-minute journey, right? And this is so at about 12:30 at night, this is where you met them. This is where you saw that there was somebody following you. All right.
Just
a little way ahead. So Anika, this was just about the spot where you saw them following you, right?
Yeah, I mean, right about here, I saw lights in my rear view mirror, saw a car coming really fast.
In the rear view mirror, that's where you saw the lights.
Saw a car coming fast, so I just moved to the side to, let them cross.
Right.
Except, right when I reached the lights,
this red light.
Yeah,
right.
They pulled up next to me.
So here they pulled up right next to you.
Yeah. I assumed they would cross, but instead they pulled up next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turned right, and their car turned right with me.
Right on the right hand
yeah.
side. Right.
And right here is where they first swerved into my car and either trying to hit it or probably scare me or intimidate me into stopping.
Okay. So they came really close to your car here?
Yeah, like inches maybe. They came close enough that I had to swerve left to save myself.
Why was it that you felt so terrorized?
Because, even if they had just driven up next to my car normally and asked me to stop, I might even have opened my window a little bit to give them the chance to say maybe something's wrong with my car or whatever. I might have given them a chance, but their first action, like 3 seconds after I saw them, their first action was to swerve into my car.
Right.
And that was the first time that, my heart actually skipped a beat because I was like, why is this happening? What's happening? But even then I was like, maybe it was a mistake. I kept going. These lights that we just crossed, I thought I would turn right, move to a more crowded road, but they didn't let me. Their car was always to my right.
Oh, so they didn't let you make that turn?
No, their car was always to my right, just a little bit ahead. And I couldn't turn right because if I had tried, I probably would have banged into their car. So instead, I came straight on this road.
So you went on, Marnika, from here on, and they kept tailing you. What was going through your mind? They kept not tailing you. Yeah, they were
exactly like this car is right now.
Exactly like that car. No, yeah.
Further ahead, so I can't get ahead of them. And here, there's a turn right here. Right. I tried to turn right here again, so I could move to a different road. And this turn is where I had almost turned. I'd half turned into it, and they came and blocked my car. They blocked the road. I couldn't go ahead
because it's 1 o'clock at night right now, and at that time it must be 12:30. So it was like this. It was as desolate as desolate as this.
This road was, yeah. Right. There was nobody here, and this is where they blocked me.
So they blocked you here. Oh Lord, that is a little scary.
Yeah,
yes.
I tried to turn here, and this is where they stopped the car. I tried to turn right here.
Okay.
And they just parked in front of me and blocked the road.
Okay.
And that is when the guy in the passenger seat got out and started almost sauntering towards my car.
And you reversed then?
And that is when I reversed and went straight. And that was when...
Because it's 1 a.m. at night right now, but say 2 days ago it must be, say, 12:30, that's what it was, and it was because this is scary. It is scary. What do you do?
Yeah, so that was, when I reversed and got sped away from here, my first instinct was that I need to call the cops. Because earlier the first time they blocked me, I'd already decided that I need to, before anything else, note down the car's number.
Right.
Because even if they do something or they try to do something and they get away, I need to be able to tell the cops who what car it was. So I noted down the number, and here I reversed and I sped away, and I knew that the guy was out of the car. So it would take them
a while to
come back, and that was my opportunity. That was when I called the cops. Because that was the only
first time you called the police is when you sped away from here?
I only called them once. Yeah. Okay. That was when I called them and I was getting out of here. And because there was the only time I even had the
Was
time,
your voice shaking when you called the cops?
my hands were shaking so much I could bear. It took me like a while to dial 100.
Right.
Because I have that was not a feeling I had experienced before. So my hands were shaking so much, and I think that's also why, because the moment the cop answered the phone, he also got extremely, like, I heard his voice change. I heard his voice get extremely alert, because he also must have sensed how much fear I was feeling.
Right.
And he was like, okay, what's wrong and what's the car number, and very efficiently noted it down. He asked me if it's possible for me to stop somewhere, and I told him that that's what they want, so there's no way that I'm stopping. I'm just going towards Panchkula. So he was like, okay, help, will meet you on the way.
Right. And you kept driving on.
Then I turned right from there to the main road, and I just kept driving. I didn't stop for a minute. My entire focus was to get away and get to a safe place where at least I can find a cop, or a PCR or whatever, just a space where they cannot do whatever it is that they're trying to do.
And you're very clear because, Varnika, I read that your Facebook post, and it said that you're lucky to be alive, that you're not lying in a ditch, raped or murdered, right? And you said that. Why do you say that it could have reached to that extent? Because you're quite clear in your view that they did try to abduct you.
Yeah, definitely. That can be their only attempt. I have never seen these people before in my life. Why else would two strangers try to stop a girl that they don't know in the middle of the night, and not once, not twice, but for like 15-20 minutes straight? They were persistent. I think even persistent is an understatement. They had their heart set on stopping my car. That was their only focus.
And you are in no two minds when you say that this was an attempt to abduct?
I don't think so. I don't think... it's clear. It's not like they wanted to have a conversation.
So you're clear that either they wanted to take you in their car or they wanted to come into yours?
Definitely.
So this was an attempt to kidnap, and you told that to the cops?
Yeah, my statement said that to me it is extremely clear that this was an attempt to abduct me.
So a little surprised when that evening you went, you gave your statement, they put it all down, and in the morning the charges changed? In the charges, that attempt to abduct was taken out because that's not a bailable offense then, and then it becomes a bailable offense if attempt to abduct 375 is not there.
Well, I know that now, but to be honest, I went and I made the complaint, and that was that. The cops had helped me and done their job perfectly till then. So I assumed that they would do their job. They know, what the sections are and all. So I didn't really even know that they've dropped the charges till I found out the next day from, all the media. Yeah.
Where did the cops catch them?
That was a while later. Like,
they're going to cross that?
10-12 minutes to get there, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is where I was, I think, still like talking to the cops.
Can you explain when was it that the cops came in, and again that one of the men had gotten off and were trying to, and they were driving with their door open, you were telling me, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it was open the entire time, but their entire effort was still, they basically just kept me blocked in between the divider and their car. So their car would always be here, and
this is the divider.
And yeah, they would always keep swerving, trying to make me go left, but there would just be enough space that I would either leave from here or I could reverse and go from the right. And thankfully, I think maybe they were like too drunk or whatever, but they weren't efficient enough to be able to block me even then.
Right.
So so that actually happened at the lights ahead. Do you want to do this there?
Yeah, we'll do that there.
Like not these, but a couple of lights ahead.
Okay. So in the morning when you woke up, even you didn't know that you were going to wake up to headlines of BJP Haryana State President's son harasses, stalks IAS officer's daughter.
I did not. I didn't even know. I didn't even know that, it would make the news. Because as far as I was concerned, of course, it was a serious thing for me, but it didn't feel newsworthy to me. But then when I saw that when I saw who he was, that was when, of course, and then it just suddenly started blowing up. So,
Are you a little still in a bit of shock, a little unnerved with A, the incident, and B, the kind of aftermath and the cameras that you've seen?
uh, of course, I don't think I've even had the time to be unnerved. I just, like, I'm just on autopilot. I'm just, doing what I need to do. I've barely even had, time to sleep in the last 2 days. So I'm just doing what I need to do, and I think I'll probably have to deal with all of it when this, ebbs. When all of this ebbs a little bit.
So the Haryana Chief Minister Varnika has said that this is an individual case and it needs to be dealt as an individual and not somebody who's the son of somebody so politically influential, right? Is there anything that you'd want to say to him?
I think I've said pretty much everything that needed to be said, and if after all of that, if I still need to say more for action to be taken, then what's the point?
So you're hoping that there's no political influence now, that the matter reaches a conclusive end, which is that proper action with whatever charges that need to be applied happens.
Of course, definitely.
And you're going to go right to the end to this. You're going to fight to the end. You've decided that, right?
Like this, they need to be brought to justice. They cannot get away with this. I mean, I felt like this and I got away. And this is me living like,
a privileged life.
A privileged life in a privileged city. So what about all those women who don't have any privileges?
Are you fighting it for them?
Of course, I'm fighting it for every woman. I'm fighting it for every woman who has ever felt afraid of going out at night, alone or not. I'm fighting it for myself, because if a guy can walk out of his house at 2 a.m. and walk on the roads and feel safe, why can I not? Why should I have to worry that something will happen to me? Why not him?
Did you see a sense of entitlement with them?
I saw brazenness, because, at that point also I didn't know. I mean, it's possible it was enlightenment, but entitlement.
Right.
But I didn't know that then. I was shocked at how brazen they could be. There are, at least 10 people standing around you. There is a cop car coming. I don't know if they saw the cop car or not. But despite all of that attention at traffic lights where there's probably a CCTV camera also, despite all of that, they still have the guts to get out of the car, to block my road, to block the road, to get out of the car and approach my car and try to open the door.
Has anyone ever since, and this needs to be said, because there's a lot of talk about political influence being involved. Has anyone called you, tried to influence you, tried to say, ke aisa mat karo, case wapis le lo, anything like that?
No, not at all. I think, and of course, I mean, it's too big now for anyone to even,
Attempt it.
Yeah, I guess, because if that were to get out, then it paints it in a whole new light, right? So, but yeah, like nobody has done that. Everything that I have said is what I want to actually say.
I'd ask you a question, because, and it's very regular, because you see it very often, and it's a very, and we've seen it in cases like that victim shaming comes as a natural corollary to cases such as this. And you've seen that happen, because his cousin brother, Vikas Barala's cousin brother, has posted pictures trying to shame you, saying, this girl does this does that, why are you supporting her? So this victim shaming has also now come in.
It doesn't really affect me, because I am not ashamed, because what have I done? I was driving, minding my own business, coming home. Those guys are the ones who need to feel that shame. I mean, what can they do? They can tell lies about me. Tell lies. Apparently, I read the thing that he shared, which says that I was apparently drunk, and I find that ridiculous. So, I find that ridiculous, because I called the cops while driving. I went to the police station. I dealt with cops here. I went to the police station with my father, drove there to file the complaint, spent a few hours with the entire, all the cops in the police station, but none of them noticed, and this random guy on Facebook knows it.
So you don't care, so you don't care whether they attempt to character assassinate you, you don't care.
They can try. No, nothing they say about me can be remotely as bad as what those guys actually did. Because at the end of the day, no matter what they say about me, I know that I have never done something like that. So what can they say? Oh, put up a picture of me with a friend of mine.
Or with a drink, what's the big deal? You're of legal age. How does that matter?
And incidentally, they put up this picture of me with an internationally renowned rapper that who played a gig in Chandigarh a few years ago, and I opened for him. And that is when that picture is from. And they put it up trying to
Character assassinate you. It's a natural corollary. It happens. It happens with cases like that, especially in high influential cases.
Of course, but they're probably again trying to intimidate me into maybe not doing
backing down, intimidating you to make you back down.
But
you're not backing down.
Affect me. Like, you're going to share lies. Go ahead, do what you will. I know that what I have shared is the truth.
So this is the place where
this is exactly where the cop, where they finally blocked me and where the cops caught them.
Okay.
So I'd been coming the whole way trying to avoid them, and they had kept me to the left and their car was to the right, trying to block me in. Like, a couple of meters behind this. Again, I think right where we're standing is where they parked their car diagonally in front of mine to block me in. And this time the guy got out, the guy in the passenger seat got out and quite aggressively came towards my car. Then again I reversed and went towards the right, and the light was red, and there were at least 5 or 6 cars parked here waiting for it to turn green. There were two-wheelers. I could see the PCR coming from the opposite side. I could see the lights, and this guy jumped out, and I reversed, went to the right to get away from him, before he reaches my car. But he reached the window, he banged on it.
And that's when the cops caught him doing this.
Well, they were just reaching there when he was doing this. Like, he banged on the window, tried to open the door, but it was locked, and I moved a little bit ahead, and that is when the cops reached, and the cops started running towards these guys. So right before I left, I was looking to see if the cops have, because honestly my only concern was to get to a safe place.
Right.
So I saw the cops, and
you left.
I saw that these guys were sort of blocked in with all the traffic that wasn't moving, and the cops were going towards them. So I knew that the cops had them. That was when I left.